Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Industrial Faith. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Factorial Forex, your 15-minute factorial fix. This is Season 3, Episode 38. And we are still putting together the iron Unzekapa. The copper. I wonder how you say copper in German. Police! No, that's not a... stop. Anyways, I am running out of red belt. It's not going to make red belt as fast as I want. I will fix it, however. The problem right now with the red belt, the reason it's not being created as fast is it can't pull in gears fast enough. Gear wheels. So as soon as I fix that, I'll have to fix that. So here I'm trying to put put them the wrong way. Here I'm trying to basically use up the last of the iron. Make sure every single little spot is covered. And yep. So I'm going to begin. A big build like this really is something different. And I mean that because I'm using, look at all those miners. I realize there's a lot of people who are just kind of, whatever. But to me, this is just weird. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the first three I'm going to try and balance them. This is really wonky because I haven't the slightest idea how to do three. It's actually more like 2.5 into 3. However, because there's so many miners, each one of those rows is easily going to fill a is easily going to be able to fully fill a red belt. Now, I don't know about a blue belt. That's something we'll have to find out. And I'm already anticipating I'll have to do blue belts, depending on how fast it uses it. Red might be able to handle it. I don't know. We'll find out. I hope I don't have to go to blue, but if I go to blue, I go to blue. That's the way it is. That's one of the things I'm trying to do with this factory is I'm trying to make it so that if I need to, I can expand it to meet the needs of the rockets. So the whole thing is I'm going to, again, try and build as many rockets as I can at a time. And that was me being a derp and not remembering where everything was. So, what are you doing? I don't know. But here, I'm going to try and use these two. It's going to be two. Did I do this right? Yes. It's essentially 3.5 belts of ore, and they're going to be going into 2 iron and 2 steel, which is why, again, I'm trying to make sure the steel is as balanced, or the steel is where it is. And here's me trying to balance it. Newsflash, kids, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. Again, like the balancer I made for the railroads, I think this is going to help balance it. I don't know. I think this is overkill. This is more of a 4 into 4, and I'm turning it into 2. So this is probably a ridiculous amount of overkill. But there's no kill like overkill. So I'm not particularly worried about it. I think it's a good idea to go ahead and build it as robust as possible. And again, if I do end up extending the lines through the use of blue belts, then that's what we'll do. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. I kind of want to see where it goes. And I think it's actually better this way to build a bigger... I think it's better to build a bigger bus kind of thing once you're already safe, and that's what I'm doing. So what I'm doing here with coppers, I couldn't decide if I wanted to go horizontally or vertically, and I decided it's probably better to go vertical, and that's because I essentially have 3 smelting lines for copper, and if I go vertical, it'll be a lot less lines to feed into each other and to balance. Just the way the copper deposit is, well, built, for lack of a better term. Now, one of the things I think you'll notice, and that I've noticed, and I'm not exactly sure what to do about it, is I'm going to have a lot of a lot of room for building that I'm not going to use once I build the moats, and I'm not sure what to do with it, really. But okay, so here I'm again putting all this together, and at some point I have to hook it up because for some reason sometimes you can't see where your power poles are connected if they're not powered. So it's a little weird, but whatever. You know, it's one of those things. So again, I'm out of. Oh, this time I'm out of power pole. The yellow power poles. That's right. And I'm actually flabbergasted at this because I've never once run out. So now I'm. Holy crap! I've never run out of these before. What do I do? Well, so I again have increased the amount that I'm requesting essentially from the factory through the use of the chest cutoff. So iron is essentially ready to go. I'm going to get copper ready to go, and after I do copper, I'm going to have to start. I'm somewhat torn when I'm doing this because I'm not sure if I want to build oil next or work on increasing my power. And I do realize that early on I said I'm not going to do solar, I'm just going to do power plants, but at the same time I have so much room. I could really go nut burgers with the solar. I mean just nut burgers. And I wouldn't have to worry about... it probably would be a better idea. So here I'm going to run out of red belt again because I'm out of red belt. So and again, I have to balance essentially what's going to be 4 lines. That last line is really kind of weak. I mean, that's just what it is. It's kind of weak. So there's my 4 lines that I have to put into 3, but realistically it's about 3.5. So I'm really going to be set for copper until, depending on how big I make this. And of course I'm going to try and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. I estimate that at some point, if I actually keep going, I may end up. There's a lot of room up to the north that I can use for shipping and material. So here I'm just kind of filling everything up. Now this is silly because it wastes power, but as soon as the belts fill up, they're all going to turn off. So to me, that's not that big a deal. So I'm a drink. So I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to see where everything is. And by where everything is, I mean how far is the moat gotten? And the moat is done. So I can go ahead and start on the northern part. And the funny part is it's a really long trip. So I'm kind of nervous here. I'm kind of looking to see. And there's the robots. It's such a long trip. The robots have to the robots have to charge on their way up. That's how far it is away from the supplies. But at the same time, once it's done, it's done. I don't have to worry about it. And that kind of, I'm very much looking forward to getting this part of the moat done. Very much looking forward to doing this because it's I'm moving that because I think the moat making machine might get in the way. So I don't want that. So that was me just looking around. Now I may eventually need to go grab that iron up north. I may not. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. And there I'm just looking to see what's getting damaged. Now, I sort of go, not a big deal. The thing is, though, that should have been an indication to me that there's some big biters running around out there. And you'll see them when I go do some base busting, and they actually destroy one of my, what do you call it? They destroy one of my turrets real quick. So at some point, I actually start using the gun emplacement turret with the cement walls, or with the walls. So I start putting down walls around my guns for the initial attack. And so this is me. I'm getting ready to go do some El Bustero of baseoing. That's the worst Spanish I think I've ever heard. Even worse, it's terrible Mexican. So, or would you call that Mexican Spanish? Because there's English, American English, and technically Canadian and Australian English, but I think that's more of the slang used itself. So the question is, the Mexican language is derived from Spanish, Castellano, but they use a lot of similar words. And if you speak Italian, you can go down into Mexico and you'll do fine. One of my bosses, not going to say her name, but starts with a T, and her grandmother, who was 100% full-blooded Italian, spoke nothing but Italian, immigrated to the U.S. At one point, and little old lady, she's not gonna learn English if she gosh darn doesn't want to. But she would go to Mexico, and she had no issues talking to the locals, none. They understood enough of her Italian, and she understood enough of their Mexican Spanish. So I guess here I'm starting to do some base busting. So I think it's interesting that, and I wonder what you would call. I mean, is it Mexican Spanish? Is it Mexican? And I know everybody says, "Oh, I'm taking Spanish in school." Well, you're not taking Spanish because you're not learning Spanish as spoken by Spaniards. You're learning Spanish as spoken by Mexicans. So, here we go. There are some, I just lost the turret there. And the fun part is the robots put it back. That really made me laugh. The robots went ahead and went, "Oh, your turret's dead? Here's a new one." And it's something robots do. I think it's pretty neat. Yeah, you can see the big green biters, and they are, they're beefy. If I didn't put that wall up, I would have had a lot more issues with losing turrets. And as it stands, there's now few enough spawners that I can go ahead. But I marked to do that anyways. There's few enough spawners that I can go ahead and use regular laser turrets now. And all I needed to do is clear out these areas, because they're kind of in the way of. Excuse me, they're not in the way. They are. They're threatening my line. So anyway, I heard something interesting. I don't know if it's true, but if you're familiar with history, military history, after World War I, the French built a big giant line. They called it the Maginot Line, and it basically ran from Belgium down to Switzerland, and the whole thing was supposed to be a big wall that the Germans wouldn't go through. And of course, if you've read your history, you know that the Germans went, big wall, huh? We're going to go around. And they went through Belgium. So, apparently Maginot, the guy who designed the wall, was a baker. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know if it's true. I'll have to go look it up. And I'll get back to you on that. But how cool is that? So, and everybody just went, "Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you." Yeah, I know a lot of people don't care. The interesting thing is people who watch Factorio videos or are interested in the Factorio game tend to be, I don't know, I don't want to, I guess, cerebral. They're interested in history and procedures and how things work. So little tidbits like, "Oh, hey, Fred Maginot or George Maginot or whoever he was a baker." And that's something that a lot of people who like games like this will probably find interesting. And I say interesting because there's also a lot of people who play Factorio because it's a big puzzle game, and procedural stuff like that, they don't care. They could give a crap. Whatever. Just let me build my factory. I don't care that George Maginot was a baker. I could give a crap. So, and that's fair. That's not your thing. That's not your thing. But I find it fascinating. So when time comes, from time to time, I will regale you with facts that you really don't care about. I believe the feminists call it mansplaining. And you know what? Here at Industrial Faith's channel of oddities and video game quirkiness, we're all about mansplaining and gunsplaining and other splaining. Just splaining, man. Isn't that racist if you say it like that? It might be. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping this up. Thank you for joining me for the latest episode of Factorio 4X, your 15-minute Factorio fix. I look forward to seeing you in a future episode, so have a good night, and bye-bye.